What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Woxki MMA channel. Today, I'm going to be breaking down the events of UFC 330. Let's get it. Like and subscribe for more content like this. And yeah, let's go. I was doing some recording as the fights were going on, but I'm also doing some voiceover in the night where everyone's asleep. So just excuse that. But yeah. Islam Makhachev just beat Ian Gary by unanimous decision. The fight had its moments. Round two, Islam drops Ian Gary with a head kick. That was crazy. But anyway, I'll just kind of go play by play and yeah. So round one, Islam gets a takedown in the open. It's pretty good takedown. He has a lot of control with it, and Gary struggles to get back to his feet. And in the second round, Makhachev decides to strike a little more. Gary keeps trying to set up the head kick so he can, wear down Makhachev's striking and whatnot. Uno reverse. Makhachev drops Gary, and it's pretty crazy. Then, round three, Ian Gary rallies a little, but he lands a head kick on Islam, very flush. I'm surprised Islam didn't get dropped. Then Islam tries to grapple a bit, and Gary defends it well. And then when they go to the corner, Makhachev's whole camp is stressing. They want him to get a finish. Likewise, Gary's corner, they're very happy. Round four was a bit of a toss-up. I personally gave it to Ian Gary. Islam got a lot of control, but, he didn't really do a lot with his control or his takedowns, whereas Gary damaged him up pretty badly, in the clinch. Elbows to the forearm. Islam's face was bloody. He got blood over Ian at the end of the round. And then round five, the rubber met the road. I thought it looked like Gary was about to get it, but he didn't. Islam got the round. He got the control. He nearly subbed him. Sub attempts, control, and he won on all judges' scorecards. It was a close fight. Ian Gary, I have a feeling he is going to milk this. And Islam beats Anderson Silva's win streak. He now has the longest win streak in the history of the UFC. He's done it in the modern era. He might be the GOAT. But, I'm going to drop a GOAT list, so I can't say if I think he's the GOAT or not. But he might be. He might be the GOAT. It wasn't the most fun fight, but it was very technical, very competitive. And, as for who's next to fight for the welterweight title, I'm aware that Michael Morales made weight, but I think they're going to have Prates fight for it. And honestly, the fight that just unfolded makes it more kind of intriguing as a striking fight, because we know that Makhachev isn't necessarily he can control. He controlled Jack Della Maddalena. He couldn't control Ian Gary. Will he be able to control Carlos Prates? I don't know. Gary had been training in like a lab, and he still couldn't beat him. He went to Georgia. He did all this stuff. Trained with Damian Maia, still couldn't beat him. Him being Islam. I don't know if Islam's going to be stopped by anyone. He's the GOAT. I was rooting for Islam, or more like I was rooting against Ian Gary. I got what I wanted. And this is the best outcome, I reckon. I wish he was able to knock him out in the second round, but we can't get everything we ask for. Yeah. As for how I predicted the matchup would go, I thought Ian would try and stay on the outside more. He stood in front of Islam, and that kind of confused me a little. But I think he did better standing close than he would have done at range. But it was still a bit of an adjustment that jarred me a little. The co-main event just wrapped up. Mackenzie Dern versus Jillian Robertson. Like I said, Mackenzie Dern decision win. She wins by decision, 49-46, I believe. I kind of stopped paying attention, halfway through because it became apparent that there wasn't going to be a finish. Um, but Dern was too physical on the ground. Her jiu-jitsu was too good for Gillian Robertson to really get off any good offense other than in the fifth round. And Robertson's jiu-jitsu was too good to get submitted. So it was a bit of a stalemate, but I feel bad for Robertson. She's a bit small for flyweight or strawweight even. But what can you do? There isn't enough atom weight talent to justify the UFC hosting that division. But I still got to feel for her. Pretty unfortunate. And yeah, I mean, good job for Mackenzie Dern. It was pretty predictable. Wasn't the greatest fight in the world. But yeah. Jalen Turner versus Carway Fernandez. Super nasty knockout. I was expecting the fight to be much closer than it was. I thought that leg kicks might be a problem for Turner. I did pick him to win by knockout still. But, his legs are just bones. But, no. He catches one of Fernandez's kicks, pressures him with some shots against the cage. I believe it was a left hand, just landed straight into Fernandez's chin, and he just gets absolutely murked. Ground and pound finish. Not a lot of damage taken, but still a nasty knockout. Turner wants a ranked opponent next. I think that's pretty fair. I'm not sure exactly who you'd give him right now. I'd kind of have to think about that. But, I mean, it's difficult, right? Because you can't give him, Gamrot, because they fought. You can't give him, I mean, you could. But, there are people, on the outskirts of the ranking. Maybe, that Tom Nolan fight, two of the tallest lightweights. That could be really interesting. And Jalen Turner, he does have a lot of name value. I think this kind of resurgence is a good thing. He's looked, absolutely amazing in his past two fights. He, beat Barboza worse than Ribovics just did. And he just murks Fernandez in the first, 40 seconds. It was crazy. But, yeah, moving on. Dustin Stoltzfus versus Mansour Abdul Malik. Huge underdog win. I did not pick this. I picked Abdul Malik. I forgot how I picked him by. But, I thought he would rebound. But we did kind of see in this fight that, he has some difficulty when he can't impose his game. When he is the nail instead of the hammer. The first round was pretty competitive. You could say that maybe Malik won on damage, but I had Stoltzfus winning the round, and I was really impressed by his, ability to, take Malik down with the body lock, and, when he slammed him, that was pretty crazy. He also finished the round pretty strong, so hence why I thought he won. But in the second round, it's a bit more competitive, and to me at least, it looked like Malik was kind of finding his rhythm, and he was adapting to Stoltzfus's takedowns and was really being able to defend them. And I thought, okay, this is it. This is where Stoltzfus crumbles. But no, he hangs in there. He hangs in there strong. And, they have some wild kind of exchanges in the pocket, in the, clinch. Lots of hooks being thrown. And Malik, he was getting tagged every time. His corner told him, don't engage in that. He did it anyway. He didn't listen to his corner, and he paid for it. I was really impressed with Stoltzfus's performance. He just broke Malik down with some really nasty stuff, that knee on the neck. And, blood started coming out from Malik's nose. It was crazy. But, yeah, Dustin Stoltzfus for the win. Nice little post-fight moment where he's like, I'm just a normal guy, imposter syndrome, this and that. I feel for him. I'm happy for him. Post-nose surgery, Dustin Stoltzfus is a mythical fighter. And I underrated him. And I think a lot of people underrated him. I don't think anybody picked him. But I'm happy to see him win, and I think this is bad for Malik. He really needs to, you know, reflect a little more. The UFC were trying to rebuild him for this one. They were trying to be like, wow, he's a really intelligent guy a really intelligent fighter even, who's gonna learn from his mistakes. You know, he's gonna come back better from that Belgarui fight. But he didn't look that way. And if I was, a future opponent seeing that, I would be, I'd be licking my lips. Esteban Ribovics versus Edson Barboza. I picked Esteban Ribovics by knockout. Who wouldn't? I said he'd do it in the later rounds. He did it in round 2, which kind of counts. But I really think that the fight should have been stopped in between rounds. Barboza had this nasty gash on his shin bone. And it just, it was like the one Wonder Boy had against Gabriel Bonfim, which, by the way, Bonfim versus Sean Brady, how are we feeling? I reckon it's all right. But anyway, yeah, the fight, it was a little bit competitive in the first round. Like, Ribovics would crash in and Barboza would be able to, land a shot or two. But it just became too much for Barboza, which I predicted. In his old age, he doesn't respond to pressure very well. It kind of, stifles his kicking game when someone's able to get right in his grill and just pressure the fuck out of him. And it was a nasty win by Esteban Ribovics. Barboza retired. I think that is a very fair assessment by him because, I just think he has to call it a career. He can't take damage anymore, and if you're a fighter and you can't take damage, the sport just isn't for you. Maybe at one point it was, but now it isn't. So sad for Barboza, but I don't want to see him stick around any longer. And it's a good name for Esteban Ribovics, a good feather in his cap, but really not that strong of a win. I'd like to see him fight, more unranked talent. I'm thinking Nicholas Motta, Nazim Sadikov, those kind of guys. Mateus Nicolau. I think that's his name. No, it's Mateus Camillo. Mateus Nicolau's a flyweight. Anyway, moving on. We're back to nighttime voiceovers. So we had Yoel Alvarez versus Chidi Njokuani. Yoel Alvarez fought a really silly fight, and he paid the price for that. Chidi Njokuani, Muay Thai practitioner. It was clear he was going to have the edge in that department. He had so much just like girth on Yoel Alvarez, and you can really tell that, I don't think Yoel Alvarez is a legit welterweight. Yes, you can't make lightweight, but these guys at welterweight are fucking massive. As we know from, Michael Morales, Carlos Prates, Ian Gary, these guys are giants. And Yoel Alvarez didn't really get to show his game out there. Because I think he's a better mixed martial artist than Chidi Njokuani. But in a fight like that, he's not going to get to show his game, obviously. So low fight IQ from Yoel Alvarez, but they were having fun out there at least. But yeah, moving on, Charles Johnson versus Eduardo Chapelin. Oh, by the way, so I did pick Yoel Alvarez to win, which is why I'm a little salty. I didn't get to officially make my pick on the Johnson fight, but I had Johnson winning. The odds were really close, and when I initially saw that, I was like, Johnson's on the parlay, and he was on the parlay, but I was very scared, and watching that, I root for Charles Johnson. He's the underdog in a lot of fights. This one he wasn't, and we know that that's a bad thing. And so in that second round, when I saw him get wobbled and do the same kind of stumble back he did against Alex Perez, I was shitting my pants. But he rallied. He wrestled to safety, and in that third round, Chapelin was gassed out. It was short notice. It was never going to be, in his favor. He did his best with the time he had, but he didn't do enough, and Johnson got the job done. The fight before that, another guy was fighting with the last name of Johnson, a bigger Johnson, mind you, Dante Johnson. Now, Dante Johnson wants to be a 3-weight champion. Do I think that's going to happen? No. But he did look good out there. McConaughey, I said in my prediction, I was picking Dante Johnson because McConaughey just doesn't respond to damage well. My thesis, proven correct. He did not respond to damage well. Because, yes, he's technical. Yes, he can land a crafty jab, right? Catch Dante Johnson rushing in. But Eric McConaughey in a firefight is not all that. So, he can beat Rodolfo Vieira. Rodolfo Vieira doesn't have pop. Dante Johnson has pop, and I think that's really just what it came down to. There wasn't enough skill on McConaughey's side to beat the athlete in Dante Johnson. The fight before that, I'll kind of explain my predicament here. I did set an alarm for 7:30. I did prop up my computer. I did pop up a certain website called Streamed Something, okay? And I put in my UFC stream, and I put it up there, and I fell asleep. And then I woke up to Trayshawn Gore in a DAS from Vicente Luque. Holy shit, worst case scenario. Worst case scenario ever. Vicente Luque's DAS. This is like the thing of, this is fabled. This is the thing of heritage. But Trayshawn Gore gets out because he's a fucking dog. And that's why I picked him, okay? That's why I picked him. That's why I picked him to win this fight. He just grits it out. He had Luque in a really bad way at the end of that second round. And in the third, I think I can excuse the lack of action in the third because of how, that second round. Imagine you're just real groggy, just woken up. Oh shit, fuck. Trayshawn Gore's in a DAS choke. Whoa. That's my guy. He lost his teeth. Feel for him. Moving on. We slept through the early prelims, but we watched the highlights, and they were nasty. Rafael Tobias, I saw his nickname, bipolar, and I knew he was going to lose. Because, you can only go off the whole I'm crazy shtick for so long before, you get beaten by someone good. And Lucas Fernando is that. Pieces apart Rafael Tobias for 2 rounds, and then in the third, hits him with a nasty knee to the body. Holy fuck, I felt that. It was crazy. Ramiz Brahimaj gets Neil Magnied. I called this as I called the last fight. I had Fernando winning. I also had Magny winning because, Brahimaj is good, but he's not that good. And, he's not top-ranked contender good, which I think the Neil Magny test kind of shows if you are or not. And, proven correct. But one fight that I'm really happy to have got wrong, Jeremiah Wells beats Miktabek Orobai by just fucking choking him out cold with it took him 5 seconds to put him out cold with that choke. It was crazy. Orobai gets hurt. He shoots in. We're in the third round. He's tired. He's not liking all the things that Wells is putting out there. But Wells gets it done. He was booed by the Philly crowd when he was walking out because Orobai's a meme and none of them knew that he was from Philadelphia. But he silences everyone. He ruins everyone's, if you were dumb enough to bet on Miktabek Orobai with those odds, you deserve that. And yeah, UFC 330, it was good until the co-main and main. The main event wasn't terrible. I've seen people, I've seen MMA Guru, oh my god, it's the worst thing ever. Shut the fuck up. Like, I like some of the Guru vids. What the fuck does he know about unbiased commentating? That's my Kanye impression. But like seriously, I think that it's a balance, right? You can't be like nut hugging, the whole like Dagestani crew, whatever, because they do some dirty stuff. Like Islam, he had his toe wedged between the fence. I think that's deliberate. Like, there are documented things of like sly ways these guys cheat. Like, Islam against Charles Oliveira, he was grabbing the glove at points, and that was giving him advantages. It was a good look for him, right? Also, we all know about the meldonium. We all know these guys are on fucking steroids, okay? It gets to a point. And when you see people kind of give this like, oh my god, it's so entertaining, and no damage is being done, I'm sorry. The visual of like blood everywhere, that's what gets the fans going, okay? But on the flip side, like, we're seriously mad that Ian Gary lost a fight. Like, I'd be mad if Ian Gary was the welterweight champion right now. I would be fuming. I would be so mad. And to kind of, live vicariously through Islam Makhachev's performance, it doesn't get much better. But anyway, those are just my thoughts on UFC 330. Like and subscribe. Bye-bye.